Your office has a job you never agreed to. It's not the work on your screen. It's keeping you available, visible, and interruptible at all times. Research from UC Irvine found people switch tasks roughly every 3 minutes at work. Not because they want to, but because something keeps pulling them out. That something is the floor plan. It was never designed for you to think. It was designed for something else entirely, and that something hasn't changed in 100 years. Start with something most people don't think about: being seen. In an open office, you're visible almost all the time, and that visibility quietly eats into the mental bandwidth you need for hard thinking before anyone's even said a word to you. Now layer in the noise. You know that feeling at 2 p.m. where your brain feels scraped out, even though nothing particularly hard happened? No big deadline, no crisis, just a normal day, and yet you're done. That's not tiredness. That's the energy your brain spends just trying to survive the room. The open office isn't loud, that's the thing. It's just never quiet. Someone's on a call in the corner. A conversation one row over that you can almost make out, but not quite. And that almost is exactly the problem. Your brain can't treat speech as background. It's hardwired to track it. So when a half conversation drifts over from 3 desks away, it doesn't file it as ambient noise. It tries to complete it. Here's what makes this strange. Complete silence isn't actually what breaks concentration. Researchers found that consistent background sounds, rain, traffic, even music without lyrics, don't hurt focus much. But the moment speech enters the room, something different happens. Your brain intercepts it. It starts filling in the blanks, listening for your name, waiting for the topic to shift. Psychologists call this the useless speech effect. But your brain doesn't think it's useless. It treats every word like a secret it needs to hear. You're not aware this is happening, but your brain is working through language it can't quite hear, for a conversation that has nothing to do with you, all day long. It's a puzzle it can't solve and can't put down, and it costs you energy you'll never see on a calendar. So you've got visibility eating your attention from one side and noise fragmenting it from the other. Then the interruptions actually happen. Gloria Mark, a researcher at UC Irvine, found that deep focus isn't a switch you flip. It's a ladder. After any interruption, your brain climbs back up, rung by rung. It takes about 23 minutes to get back to that deep, focused state you were in before.
It's not humanly possible to do 2 or more things at the same time that require mental effort, right? If you're going to use conscious attention, you can only pay attention to one thing at a time. What people are doing is they're switching their attention.
Now think about what a normal morning looks like. You sit down, start climbing. Someone asks a quick question, back to the bottom. You climb again, Slack pings, bottom again. By the time you've been at your desk for 2 hours, you may have never reached the top once. That's not a focus problem. That's a ladder with no rungs. Every Slack ping, every email banner, every group chat notification resets the 23-minute clock. So the digital layer isn't a separate problem. It's the same ladder, with more people pulling you off it. The real problem is that these traps pile up. Being seen makes people talk to you. The noise stops you from recovering. They all work together to break your focus. Every Slack ping resets the 23-minute clock. None of these are separate problems you can solve one at a time. They operate together, and they operate constantly. You're not distracted because you lack discipline. You're distracted because the environment is running 3 separate systems against your focus simultaneously, and nobody told you that was happening. So the obvious question is, who built it this way? And what exactly were they optimizing for? The open plan office wasn't an accident, it was a choice. And the logic behind it had nothing to do with how people think. Picture a factory floor in the 1920s. Rows of workers, no walls, no partitions, and a supervisor's desk at the front with a clear line of sight to every single person in the room. Idle hands show up immediately. Conversations are visible. Absence is obvious. The floor plan wasn't a comfort decision. It was a surveillance decision. That logic moved into offices and never left. Rows of desks, no partitions, clear sight lines from the manager's position. The layout stayed a control mechanism. You could tell at a glance who was working, who was idle, who was talking to whom. The office wasn't built for getting work done. It was built to make sure you looked busy. Then came the rebrand. When tech companies started using open offices, they changed how they talked about them. Let's translate what they really mean. Collaborative. That means interruptible. Transparent. That means nowhere to hide. Energetic. That means the noise is a feature, not a flaw. The words changed. The sightlines didn't. The underlying assumption stayed exactly the same. Being present and being available are how you demonstrate that you're doing your job. And the design enforces that assumption without anyone having to say it out loud. No walls means no excuse not to answer. No closed door means no reason to make someone wait. The architecture sets the expectation, and the expectation does the rest. This is the always-on tax. You pay it every time you rush to reply, just to prove you're working. You pay it every time you stay visible when you should be going quiet to think. It's not a policy anyone voted on. It's a norm the floor plan enforces without a word. Responding fast signals effort. Going quiet signals something's wrong. So the work that requires long, unbroken thought gets pushed to early mornings or late evenings, outside the office where the architecture can't reach you. Stop. Think about a library, not the books, the pressure of the silence. Nobody walks in and starts a phone call. Nobody leans over and asks if you have a second. The design sets a different rule. Silence is the normal way to be. Interrupting someone is the mistake. Everyone knows it the second they walk in. No policy required. The design does it. The open office could have been built around that logic. It wasn't. There is a way to build a workplace where focus is the default, not the exception. But it requires breaking the one rule every modern manager is terrified to let go of. Stop treating availability as proof of work. Basecamp did exactly that. Most companies would call it a system error. Basecamp called it a design principle. They structured their entire work culture around protecting uninterrupted blocks of time. Fewer meetings, not as a perk, but as a design principle. Async communication as the default, not the exception. Long stretches of the day where no response is expected and no one is monitoring your availability.
They try to simulate the office remotely. That doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
I think remote working is a fundamentally different approach to working. It's more asynchronous, less real time. It's less about throwing up a video every time you want to talk to someone and like having to have a video chat constantly all day. That's exhausting. Mm-hmm. It's more about writing things up and being more deliberate and giving people more time to themselves. And it's a different way of working, which we detail in the book Remote.
The goal isn't to stay connected. It's to stay in the work long enough for something real to happen. Physical offices can get there too, without tearing out every wall. Dividing the office by how you think, quiet zones for deep work, open areas for talking, does something the all-open floor plan can't. It tells your brain what it's there to do before you even sit down. Partial separation, sound absorption, sightline breaks. None of this requires a full rebuild. It requires deciding that concentration is worth designing for. Protected focus time works the same way. No interruption blocks and async first communication aren't productivity hacks you bolt onto a broken system. They're what a workplace looks like when it's actually organized around the output that requires thinking, not the output that requires presence. That's how you put the rungs back on the ladder. The office was built for managing, checking in, watching over people, and looking busy. For 100 years, we've confused looking busy with actually thinking. The struggle to focus isn't a discipline problem. It's what happens when you put a concentration task inside a coordination machine. If this made something click, subscribe. I decode the systems shaping how you live and work without you noticing.